Hello, it's just Sinister Game Being here with a new stream. And in this stream, I don't know, you're going over the event week for this week from very early Thursday with all, and then it's 4 times money. Now, I think Party File automatically takes like a file from like 100-ish, 50-ish K or something to like 300-ish K. And then I believe that is the 4 times, so I think they've done it 1 time. I think, yes, they've done it a single time before where a file was like 1.1, like 1.2 million. I think it is like that, basically. If I also remember right, it's also the fine art file as well, which is actually one of the better ones to be playing. Oh, but yeah, it is priority, so you can only do it 1 time for the week, keep in mind. But yeah. In other GT news, by the way, I didn't do a GT 6 VIVI video, by the way, because it's fucking code in a fucking box, apparently, for the physical copy. Yeah, you don't even get a fucking disc for GTA 6 VIVI, you only get a fucking code in a fucking box. And like, I don't really see them packing in a map and all kinds of stuff they've kind of made people used to over the years. And even Red Dead Redemption 2 had a fucking map and a disc and everything. Yeah, I'm kind of pissed as fuck about the physical situation with that. It's funny as well, I actually waited till last day, Wednesday, to just stream too, because PlayStation also announced January 2028 they're apparently discontinuing fucking Blu-ray discs, or like physical media, at least for PlayStation. Xbox being all hell-bent on their Xbox Game Pass will probably also not care about physical at that point either, I'm guessing. So whatever, I suppose. Annoying as fuck situations, almost nobody's taking a significant stand against when like professional fucking gets the digital Ultimate Edition game day fucking 1, despite complaints about physical media and all that kind of stuff. Millions of YouTubers, all kinds of bigger YouTubers don't take a stand and they'll just get away with this shit for GTA 6 VIVI code in a box, all that shit. Anyways, I'm pretty sure, and God, Sony as a whole is going to get a whole pass somehow as well, I'm sure. Despite fucking over consumers constantly. But even if being a small channel or something, I don't really fucking care. I'll take a stock in whole like mod shops, by the way, behind like $100 Ultimate Edition. Oh, and I didn't even mention yet, but GTA 6 VIVI is also an $80 game, not even a $70 game. It's an $80 game for the standard edition, even. So, yeah. You'd think they'd be at least a little bit cool with the fact we spent like billions of dollars on fucking shark cars and everything. Like, according to the financials, at least that happened recently, there was like one like month, I think, where they made like $1.5 billion from shark cards alone. So I don't know like how the fuck they've would like to charge 80 fucking bucks for the standard edition. They could very much charge 70 bucks. I'm sure they could take the hit on $70 versus $80 per copy of the game. It's so fucking regardless of $70, $80, as people have already basically fucking proven. But yeah. Like, Rockstar's coming on the shit at this point, like, honestly, man. Honestly, man. Like, even whole mod shops being behind Ultimate Edition now, that's kind of ridiculous. That's worse than anything they've done with Red Dead Redemption 2 or GTA 5, easily, I would say. But yeah, if I go in more details on like that kind of stuff, I'll be at the end of the stream, because I gotta get this out, because it's the last day of the event. Yeah, there's apparently also 2 times rewards for Asset Lab Cell missions. 2 times my RP for the Asset Lab Cell missions. Don't those normally sell for like 500k or something? So like $1 million or something for Asset Lab sale, or something for like a full sale, I believe, with the equipment upgrade. So I think you can make 7-digit sales, I believe, for 2 times rewards, like for sure. And being pretty much the latest business or one of the latest businesses of the game. We don't want the latest businesses of the game, it's also solo friendly as well, so it makes a lot of sense. That'll be one of the better businesses in the whole game. Especially on 2 times. Which isn't really a big deal actually for that sale, since I believe if you just play the first dose missions, you actually get the vehicle for free. I think it's only like a few $100,000 even without the sale, so like it's not that big of a sale. You can literally just get it for free if you do the first dose missions and free acid lab upgrade. Again, I want to say you get the upgrade for free if you do the first dose missions on the business upgrade. So it seems you can just get that part for free even without doing the first dose missions even. Like, literally, it's just better to do the first dose missions, I find, since you make money for those missions that you can then spend on other things with the vehicle, with like the engine upgrades, all that kind of stuff. And earn rewards, find our collector program. Yeah, that stuff already was going on like last week, I believe, as well, so I'm not going to mention anything there. And there's 3 times rewards coming combat series. If it's anything like adversary modes, it's probably like a couple $100,000 like an hour or something, depending on like amount of players, how the game plays out, like lasts, all that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be that great compared to every Pride of L or that celeb sales, obviously not. And what's the news section here? See if there's anything much here. So I have the latest here for owning the mansion, which got me the news outfit and $1 million. I started something like on the way for like supposedly the final update of the game. Seems you can like use it a little after or a good bit after, even gets you more money on shark cards. Please don't spend on shark cards fucking with the scummy bullshit they're doing GTA 6 VIVI. That'd be fucking stupid to reward them for that kind of bullshit. Code in a box, physical copy. Code in a fuck ass box, physical copy. Like, what a fucking joke compared to the other physical copy Rockstar titles in history. Like, actually though. Like, shit, man, with the PlayStation announcement of canceling like the physical media or something like January 2028 or whatever, like, and that's supposedly, from what I've heard, I believe it's true as well. Rockstar and PlayStation also have like a marketing deal, so I don't know if that's why they're doing code in a box now or some bullshit, but yeah. Massive fall for both Rockstar and PlayStation easily. Like, for sure, though. Well, if they're just gonna do digital media and people are just gonna hop to PC anyways at that point, like, what's the point in canceling physical like they are? Hope it leads to PlayStation self-destruction and everything kind of in the slightest. At least. Not that they haven't been self-destructing already with their layoffs and shit, but whatever, no. Whatever, no. Yeah, it's literally just that stuff from last week again. It looks like Netflix scored the teaser thing they did like a week ago or so. A couple weeks, even possibly at this point. This, I think, has been here since Old School Hits. Now available on all the December 2025 stuff from like launch of the update. Yeah, if I'm kind of skimming through things more than I do before, it's yeah, this month is still going on, I believe, until the new DLC drops. They didn't confirm an outright date for the DLC, but I believe it ends on like a Monday, which is unusual for GT Plus, so it's just update will come out July 14th, apparently. apparently. fuck ass body for some you know, come on man, fuck. Probably Cockstars falling in it with this shit in the first place. Bunch of fucking disastrous decisions. Bunch of disastrous fuck ass decisions over the years and shit. Yeah, say goodbye to the huge midnight launches that GTA 5 had for physical copies, even you know, like a GameStop or something now. Like low key though. Because it's code in a fucking box and nobody's gonna line up for that shit for a midnight fucking launch. In fact, even get like a week fucking early, like November 12th, so you can preload the game for on time for November 19th. Like that's the biggest deal. I'm sure physical collectors are willing to wait till launch date. Even.
It's a good morning.
Like I was sure fine with that back in the day. I don't need to preload that shit a week in advance. Like maybe like a day in advance, not a fucking goddamn week. Damn, even the AI's disappointed with Cockstar didn't say the daddy line on the getting up from the bed even.
What can I do for you, Daddy? Uh-huh. Anything you want.
Damn, I only got daddy one time. Even AI's disappointed about GTA 6 BIVI, isn't it? When it doesn't have all the charisma with the daddy, it says, and all that. I only got it one time versus 2 or 3. It's crazy. That never happens. Alright now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, by the way, there's not even a proper news wire for this event because it was in the same like event like time frame, I believe, that like the pre-orders went live on June 25th. Yeah, on that first day. So they were busy tweeting about that, and they didn't make a news wire for it. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. But yes. yes, or not even no. I mean, the regular time trial right now is Legion Island 2. I'm not gonna hover over it, but that's what it is. Being kind of a successor 1 for 2, if you played the first Legion Island 1, it might be at least kind of similar to that. But like looking at the map here, it doesn't look like it has the best direct highway access. Like this road goes like beneath the highway, like the bridge kind of area. So I'd say for that reason, it doesn't have the greatest access to that bridge. Obviously, you might as well go a lap time option, most definitely, like most of the regular time trials. Of course, there might be those niche cases where you might actually want top speed, but this one doesn't really seem like it's going to be such a case where you'll want like top speed over lap time. So definitely choose lap time over top speed. Which on newer platforms is basically the HSW Hardtail Drag. Or you have like the Power Surge, I think the regular Hardtail Drag, and then the Shotaro, I think are the top couple lap times about HSW, I'm pretty sure. And I think you can get like 50k a day up to like 350k a week ever since it kind of became a daily thing in Dangerous Mercenaries for a very brief period of time where it literally changed each day for the time trial itself. And then eventually kind of became the same time trial for the whole week again, and then I assume it has like the 350k a week if you do like each day for 50k for 7 days a week for average event week duration. Gee, I sure took a long ass time to fucking load. Apparently the RC Bandito time trial is just Cemetery RC Bandito time trial with a 1 minute 20-second part time. As long as you as long as you do turns, corners, whatever. But yeah, it's all about doing the turns, corners, basically, which you can learn naturally with like holding triangle, Y, and Xbox, whatever key on PC that allows you to respawn if you need to redo the turns, corners. But if not, then look up the video guide, I guess, if you want to try to do it a more, like, a certain way where you don't have to use the respawn mechanic. I say it's better just respawn or whatever, though, if you have to, of course, mess up those turns, corners, instead of, say, look up a video guide. And there's always a chance, even with a video guide, that you would have to, like, yes, there's always a good chance, with, again, like a video guide, whatever, that you might have to, like, still do the respawn mechanic anyways, to try again, or whatever. But yes, this name does imply the RC Bandito time trial and allows for the RC Bandito itself to be used, not invade its weight tank or anything like that even. Yes, the regular, or no, that's the RC Bandito time trial for day 1 too. And then the HSW time trial for the week. I believe it's the second to last one actually already. And that is Pacific Bluffs to Mount Gordo, apparently, as they call it on the GTA Series videos community posts, since the game there's no rock streams for the event, I believe. But yeah, Pacific Bluffs to Mount Gordo, basically. And it says Mount Gordo, but I believe really it's the old Gordo Lighthouse. Over here, basically. Yeah, it's that lighthouse area over there, basically, and yeah, it's basically more about where the cars is out on the road, obviously. That's obviously. But yeah, I'll go for the laptop area where you can see like the 28 to 29 vehicles you can use. I say 28 because there's a weapon sickness. You cannot use that ever since Criminal Prize DLC came out, where they like blacklisted it from being used for time travels, despite the fact when they used it before the weapon was usable anyways. I don't know why they blacklisted it, but they did. And pretty much every other vehicle you can use for HSW time travel. The ones with slick lines, you have to take off the slick lines, like the one I'm using right now with the EVX. So I said the Stinger TT. Well, actually, remembered calling it the shorter name and no longer name that you used to have it for the longest time for once, but yeah. I'll show the list of vehicles you can use them later. So I have to spend long on that, of course. And then the daily junk energy time trial for the day of and then yes, daily junk energy time trial for day Wednesday here is Alta with 1 minute 20-second part time. But yeah, that's where you have to use the junk energy inductor, or you can technically even bring your own regular inductor, but they're basically the same vehicle performance-wise. It's just one has delivery, one doesn't. You're not allowed to use 2013 bicycles, just the newer ones with the curves boost that came out like a decade later, almost a decade later. So yeah, as long as you use the curves boost, go where you need to go, maximize on the... Yeah, I mean, as long as you go where you need to go, maximize on the curves boost, don't fall off the bicycle, you should have no problem completing it, I would say, for the most part, because the newer time trials seem to be easier than the older ones, for the types of them, I would say. I would say. So yes, I would say HSW chunk energy are pretty much the easiest as the time trials is what I mean by that, basically. Or like if my advice doesn't work, then I'll look up some video like guide out there, but for the most part it should be pretty straightforward. The devices is pretty much on the same level as our CPT time trial device, given you only have like one vehicle. Effectively only have like one vehicle to use anyways. And apparently the Preem races for the supercar class. Apparently, yes, the Preem races for the supercar class. But yeah, I might newly now honestly go over to the LS Carbine to go over the HSW options later, because I feel that might save some time, obviously, especially with GT6 VI being code in box and you not want to spend as much time in these for that reason. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the Vapid FNJ Mark V is a good new option, basically, for the Preem races, basically. Otherwise, I think the Trojan Emirates, like the Grotti Turismo, Maggio, whatever it might be, the meta options, I believe, for non-HSW, basically. AKA like the A tier supercars, the A tier supercars, basically. I would say. Or in fact, it goes the Emirates, the Vapid FNJ Mark V, and then the Turismo Maggio. And also apparently could throw the Krieger in there as well, actually, for A tier supercar, apparently. So yes, non-HSW options, the Trojan Emirates, Vapid F&J Mark V, Trism Mago, Mago, and then finally the Kriegers, the fourth A-tier option, basically. Basically. You'll notice there's a non-HSW weapon sickness if you go on like roughly 152's vehicle spreadsheet, but that vehicle is actually exclusive to 9th gen. Basically, it was basically, but yeah, Kush weed, I think, whatever. They all store support for day ones a year. If you're on newer platforms only, for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, XS, PC Enhanced, is Deer, Pig, and Seagull. Deers are pretty much in all the craziest like wilderness areas in the game. Like, you could even say like Vinewood Hills. I guess you could kind of say they can be in like those kind of areas, like Shale Mountain State Wilderness, Mount Chiliad, basically for deers. Pigs you can basically find in Frosty, like Vespucci Beach area. I would say primarily are the areas where you'll probably want most to go for seagulls. And yeah, I'm not going to necessarily go over dedicated information for laptop top speed. I just want, if I'm going to mention the best vehicles anyways, I feel you must just stick to those and don't necessarily need to know about laptop top speed anymore nowadays. Which, with less. Yes, with how much I've went over that in the past, I mean, dumb body for some kind, I mean. Are in Vetero, this must mean the Coquit, like D10, like the civilian version of that, I mean, from like Summer Special, not the police variant, obviously. It's obviously no. Bostonship Fister bonus coming to 1,705,939 ships. ICSC. My one wheel spin for the week here. Because that's basically all it's worth when it doesn't reset on 24. I mean, it doesn't reset with daily objectives, it resets. Ooh, I got 25,000 chips. That's, I believe that's the best amount you can get unless you get like mystery or something. We have 1,730,939 chips. But what I was basically trying to say, I only do one wheel spin a week on average since it resets 24 hours after the spin and not with like a dedicated time like daily objectives or something like 11 p.m. or something. Like my time at least. So I believe that vehicle should be on Electric Motorsport. If not, then it's going to be on Certain Android surely. 2-door. Again, I believe it released during the last Los Santos special DLC. So it should be like in the 2020s of vehicles. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. I believe. Let me just make sure before I go any further on that one though. That is in fact the case. Alright, yeah, it is in fact a Coquit D10. Again, it's the civilian version, not the police one. Police ones don't really get put as like podium vehicles, prize rise, all that kind of stuff, because like, probably doesn't make sense to do that with the police variant since you don't really have those as like as readily available, obviously, as civilian vehicles, obviously, because only the police use those variants, obviously, or are really meant to, as opposed to, obviously, for the most part. So naturally, it's the civilian variant of the D10. So that one's actually in the sports class, obviously, because the police one is actually put in the emergency class, Which means you can actually use this one for racing, unlike the other one, so that's always kind of a good thing for that reason. In some ways, the police one does perform at least a little bit better, I believe, as well, being a newer vehicle as well, by like quite a few, several years or something. Alright, so apparently it's in the E tier, apparently for this vehicle, according to Berkeley 1322's vehicle spreadsheet. Racing YouTuber Cheating on, so the spreadsheet should definitely be 100% accurate. 47th place to lap time, as well as 15th place top speed. If it's 15th place top speed, that definitely means it's like 9th place of all HSW, since there's like 6 HSW sports cars in the game. So it actually should be a single digit, like, within top 10. Yeah, top speed's pretty niche for racing compared to lap time. Lap time is actually much more important than like top speed and on average for like racing. Unless it's a highway, airport runway, or there's strip, you're not really going to be using top speed too much. At least for city courses, at least anyways. Stunt races, it depends on if there's like a lot of straights, obviously in general though, or something obviously, or something no, or something no. So top speed's not too important of a metric compared to lap time, but it could be good in those niche circumstances for sure. So I think it is kind of worth going for that one, honestly. And it seems you save like 1.5-ish million or something. That's like an hour and a half grind or something on average for like if you're doing money making efficiently for what you could save. So yes, I would say you could save like around an hour and a half or 2 hours of grind by getting the vehicle that way or something. Okay, cool, whatever. I found the gunman, okay. I might go over that now then. Why not then?
Hey there. That's new stock. Fresh out of the box.
But if I found a gunman here, since I found a gunman here, I might as well go over it now. When it's more convenient to do that. Especially when I'm not a big fan of going over to gunman per se, anyways. Good thing I found it too, because again, there's no Rockstar Newswire, I believe, so I would have had to find a gunman to get the whole, like, arsenal weapons. Because GTA series videos only goes over like the primary, like secondaries, unless I want to go find another user that actually goes over the gunman or something. I don't have to do that though, since I found it myself at least. Alright, so I'm not going to talk about that one yet, or this one. But I'll talk about all the ones before the baseball. I'll talk about all the ones before the baseball bat though, like aside from those two. Alright, so the combat shotgun doesn't look like there's any discount going on for this one right now.
Planning on a little short distance work?
This weapon you normally have to get for the Cowbrico compound during the Cowbrico Heights finale, I believe. Aside for that, you actually cannot buy it from a retailer on average. Aside for when it does show up in the gun van, so it is kind of a rarer weapon for that reason, so... Yeah, when it does appear in the gun van, you might as well grab it if you don't yet have it, because otherwise you have to actually do like a Cowbrico Heights finale, and you have to go out the way to find the weapon for the first time to even be able to buy it, I believe, after that. Now, it did release actually before the gunman was a thing, so yeah. It actually is ammunition. You do have to find out the like Cowbrico compound to get it first, though, is what I'm saying, basically, though. So if you haven't done that, it's always good when it does show about the gunman, is what my point is, basically.
Thinking close range, huh?
And honestly, aside from the assault shotgun, which is pretty much the go-to shotgun, pretty much in most cases, it is probably one of the better ones aside from the assault shotgun, or the pump shotgun Mark II, are basically like the usual two shotguns to use. Unless it's like a drive-by vehicle, then maybe the sweeper shotgun is also a good like third shotgun. But I would say just like maybe like within top 5 shotguns for sure. I would say.
Planning on a little
Like, yeah, you
short
probably won't be
distance
using
work?
it pretty much for the most part, but it's a fun one to have in the collection, especially being a rare weapon that requires doing the, like, Heartbreak of Finale in most cases, and finding it in the compound during that time. After that is the minigun. Wait, a minigun is a bullet-heavy weapon.
Like what you thinking? Do it once, do it right, right?
There's a thing you can do with the Widowmaker, by the way. If you have the Widowmaker and the minigun, you can put the Widowmaker in like your gun locker with the max ammo count. Each time you go into another lobby, it basically gets the ammo to 9999, so you have to buy ammo constantly. Literally, the only reason I advocate for that is because there is glitches in the game that happen where your ammo can just be removed randomly. So like, that's
Now
the
that
reason I
right
advocate
there
something
will
like
make an
that.
impression.
Speaking of the pump shotgun was
If I were
mentioned
you,
earlier with the
I'd snap
combat
that up while the
shotgun.
deal's on.
This Mark II weapon, one of only 2 Mark II weapons of explosive ammo as well, so it's actually a very good one to pick up here.
That's the very latest.
Alright, and then the discount weapons, the battle rifle is apparently half off for the event for all players. As long as you get it for the gun van, of course. But it only has 30 ammo and extended clips. It's actually one of the worst assault rifles for general use. However, it has an interesting quirk with stealth missions where you can actually do 2 bird, 1 stone headshots. So basically, so it's pretty much the best one to use for stealth missions for assault rifles. Besides for that, you're not going to want to use that much, I would say, since it only has 30 ammo on an extended clip. Even.
Trust me. You can trust that rifle.
And then the stun gun.
Pleasure doing business with you.
The stun gun is very useful for the Bondar bounties business kind of thing, whatever, since it is a tier 2 reward for that stun gun finish. So naturally it is pretty much a very useful or essential weapon for that business. So yeah, that's the huge thing with that one. That one is also 30% off for Plus members only. Ron.
Hey.
Not Hanger related, I don't think there's
You
rates
didn't
for
see
Hanger,
me.
I believe. So
All right,
I was talking
go.
about it, sure. But yeah. It's useful for it is, yes, very useful for $5 bounties. And yeah, it's only 30% off if you have the Plus subscription, so you have to be on newer platforms, and you need to buy the subscription for the 30% discount. Otherwise, they'll basically treat it like a combat shotgun, gun, or shotgun.
That price ain't here for long.
That's a non-member myself, basically. Basically, as a proud non-member myself with the GTA 6 VIVI code in a box situation now.
Just so you know, that's a limited time offer.
And then baseball bat apparently is a free thing as well right now. So yeah, for this particular event, the baseball bat is a free melee weapon. There is the free fatal incursion livery, whatever that's on my baseball bat right now, with like the red finish. If you're on newer platforms, I believe for the Drug Wars Tier 1, I believe that's free.
We should probably get out of here soon, too.
Yeah, okay, Tier 1, yeah, baseball bat finish, it's the free one that's available. Otherwise, if you're on order platforms, it only does have the aluminum finish that has a default. Or if you are also on the newer platforms, there's been a bunch released for the Plus subscription over the months that you might have if you subscribe to it at certain points. But yeah. Besides for that, you can use it for like biker melees, like the most other interesting thing about the baseball bat, pretty much.
No one followed you, right? Hell of a price, huh? Won't be here forever.
And then throwables, you have grenade, which is a basic explosive throwable. Can never go wrong with an explosive throwable. As long as you can time it right, and it's able to be pretty good if you can time it correctly, of course. Pipe bomb is actually very good for drive-by throwable stuff, at least for contact missions or something against like AI enemies, of course. AI enemies have such pinpoint accuracy, they'll actually shoot your sticky bombs pretty much and blow you up yourself on average if you use it for like a contact mission or something. So in cases where you cannot really be killed by the AI, like with an explosive or something, if you cannot afford to do that during like a contact mission or something, pop bomb is always a good option for drop-by stuff in that particular case where you have like a life system, basically. And then finally, sticky bombs. Very good utility throwable. You can always load up whenever you want with like left on D-pad. There's also the random event of like the security trucks, like security van, like armored trucks, of course, that you can always blow up the back doors for. So yes, you can always blow up those back doors for some cash as well. It's always good for that as well. And then you have your body armor, of course, something like that. So that does the gun van for the event. Not necessarily one of my favorite parts to go over, so I'm always glad to see it in the actual game, of course. Our agency at 80K right now. Cool. Oh, and yeah, by the way, I did some random person's casino heist. They actually gave me 20% instead of the 15%, which is cool. And I got like 700K. I think it was going to be 700K, and then we got like the elite challenge as well, actually. So I actually got another 100K for like 700, 800K during the 2 times casino heist last event, by the way. Something to come, like, not in a good way per se. Alright, so you have the Dinka Chester from like Business Update, I believe. Benefactor XLS from like Finance Felony, which is an online exclusive vehicle, and then the Classic Tool from New Arena Wars DLC. Both of the later two are online exclusives. This one is also in single player though for the Chester, so if you want to test it out for the customizations, performance upgrades, all that stuff there, you can do that there. I'll see in like other modes of the game, basically. And yeah, Chester in particular also appeared in like GT San Andreas or something, in the form of like the Chester Classic more so, when the Chester Classic eventually came into the game with like after hours onwards for GT On, but still. In a small respect, the Chester is kind of retro nostalgic though, for like older titles. So yeah, remove vehicles date section of the spreadsheet I should go to, for sure. So pretty much like 3 years ago with the release of the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, they vaulted like at the time, I think it was like 200 plus vehicles or something supposedly, I remember, and now it's like down to like 60, 70 I think or something. Especially within the last couple of dates since they've been unvaulting things, adding missile lock and jammers to them with like Agent Sabotage DLC last Winter's Update onwards. And by last winter, by the way, I mean 2024. Yeah. Yes. So apparently in the last 3 years or so, the Chester has appeared for the 13th time on the dealerships. Oh, the XLX actually is a website vehicle, that's right. It's not vaulted, by the way, on that one, actually. Sorry, that one's actually not a vaulted vehicle. That one's actually on the website at all times, apparently. Apparently. I think there was a period where it was vaulted, but it's not vaulted anymore. See, there is the regular and the armored version. I believe it's actually the regular version that's the CO variant, so if you want to swipe through the CO menu, I think you actually need the regular version, which is on the dealership here. But yeah, the armored version will obviously be better for explosive resistance, the bullet's glass, all that kind of stuff, basically. So it's kind of an interesting balance whether you want it's like a CO vehicle for like civilian version. So yes, it is interesting. Both variants can actually be kind of useful since the civilian version is civilian version is actually a CO vehicle, whereas the armored version is not CO, but is more useful overall, having the slight armor advantage as well as of course glass, of course. So that makes it a pretty interesting vehicle regardless of what variant you get, basically. And then the Cossack Tulip. Yeah, that one appears for the 13th time apparently as well, just like the Jester. So those have both appeared a little over a dozen times now at this point with the new appearances they made on the dealerships this time around. In the last like 3 years, so basically it was basically like 3+ years. Apparently for the prize ride, it looks like it's the Obey I-Wagon, which is actually for the SUVs class. And by the way, for those wondering what the classes are for these, it's actually sports, SUVs, and muscle, I'm pretty sure, for the classes for those. Like, I don't think either of them are that revolutionary for the classes. I don't think they perform the greatest since why they're, like, vaulted. And the XLS is formerly vaulted, so that's probably why. I think it's like B tier or something, I believe, around there for those. I believe the XLS is for both variants or so. If I remember from last time I looked up that much. Like, I would say the XLS for the regular and armored versions are both pretty good if you want to get like one thing on that dealership for sure. But again, it's not vaulted anyways, you can always get that one at like any point, basically. The Alice Car Meet Press Challenge for the Obey I-Wagon is placed top 5 for 4 days in a row, so... Sunday or Monday at the latest you should have been going for this, basically, if you wanted it. Yeah, pursuit races are 4 players, so you can basically do pursuit races with 4 or 5 players as a move. It's guaranteed. I yes believe you can do 4 or 5 player pursuit races, and it's basically a guaranteed entry for the challenge. Or of course, you can do 2, 3, 4, and 5 player street races. Remote sprint races, drag and drift races. I'm not sure if those all count, unfortunately, since one is in free mode for the sprint races, and then the drag and drift races, those came out 2 years later after the initial prize ride system was in place. So while they technically count as a Car Meet series, they will not count for the challenges, unfortunately though. I believe that's in Stone Century, it's actually for the I-Wagon, I believe, by the way. What about contract, I believe, right? Maybe it might actually be luxury for whatever reason, right? Yeah, it's actually luxury, my bad. My bad. So the vehicle is $1,720,000, okay. So like the other one, you probably say like an hour and a half to like 2 hour grind and stuff. This one's a lot easier to obtain since you don't have to get lucky with it, like the lucky wheel, I was saying. This one, you actually have a pretty easy guarantee challenge, say if you were working on it since like Sunday or like Monday at the latest, one of those 2 dates. Sunday to be on the safe side, but maybe Monday depending if you get on it early on like Thursday or something, possibly as well even, possibly as well even. Now, this is actually the worst SUV, I believe, for top speed, by the way, before I actually get into performance. So it actually is pretty bad in a sense, but yeah. Yes, so. Back over at left hand top speeds, first tiers on the spreadsheet, SUVs class. 4 HSW SUVs. And then, yes, 52nd place for top speed, which is the worst of all SUVs. I think the reason is it's like the only electric SUV in the game, I believe. I believe this is the only electric SUV that's even in the game, so it actually makes sense it does have the worst top speed for that reason. Since that's the main downside, like weakness of the electric vehicles is their top speeds. But yeah, electric vehicles, however, have acceleration, which is how quick they get the top speed. So why do I get that top speed extremely quickly? So wow, yes, wow, to get to 0 to 60 like top speed pretty much instantaneously. The top speeds in turn do suffer for that reason significantly. So while it reaches top speed real quick, the top speed's kind of ass as well. That's like a balance basically. So honestly, it's not that good. To be honest, you probably kind of skip that one. Unless you want like a SUV for some reason that goes to 60 like instant top speed, but it's at top speed. Apparently it's only like 92, like 94 miles per hour, something like that. Not crazy. Other SUVs in game, I think, do probably hit like 100 plus, especially for the HSW ones, especially, of course. And then my Batsu Monstrosity is off-road HSW, by the way, one of 2 of those. So between 2 HSW off-roads, it's the better one for lap time. Variable ASP to other off-road HSW is the better one for top speed. Lap time is the more important metric on average, so it's actually the better of the 2 off-road HSWs, arguably. So that's a very good vehicle to be getting if you're on newer platforms only, of course. And then here's all the HSW vehicles. Cyclone 2 HSW. Going into the supercar premium race from earlier, by the way. It's the electric one. So the lap time... I believe it's 3rd place lap time with the, like 5 HSWs in the game now for supercars. But I believe it's also the worst one for top speed, being 5th place top speed, being electric, since it has like the instant acceleration. Obviously, it doesn't really do as good in the top speed. So it could be alright, I would say, for racing, since it is pretty good on the lap time, which is the more important 2 metrics anyways. But you'll probably be better off with the other 2 above it anyways, since they're not electric and they don't have the instant acceleration, which could kind of screw you over in some ways, I'm sure. Like for turns, corners, with that instant kind of acceleration, it could screw you over in some ways, or like... I mean, if you do crash, it would be helpful, since you could get back up to speed real quick. Like, I'm sure there's better options, so like I was saying earlier, yeah, Pegasi weaponized Ignis, why you cannot use this one as the sole vehicle you cannot use for HSW time trials, since it has a weapon stuck on it no matter what you do. But yeah, this one is number 2 lap time as well as... is it now number 4 for top speed? I think so. I think it is number 4 top speed now. But yeah, number 2 lap time's pretty good, so I would say this one's one of the better couple you could actually be using for the supercar premium race from earlier if you're on the newer platforms. And then Drug Wars DLC came out to Overclock on TNT. This one's actually your worst lap time. It's actually the 5th place lap time, which again is the more important metric of the two. And then it's actually number 2 top speed, I believe, ever since the latest one and the latest DLC came out. So it used to have the very important niche of like number 1 top speed, but it doesn't have that anymore. So I wouldn't really use this one anymore, honestly. It's pretty much the worst one to use for premium races, basically. Oh, I skipped one, by the way. I accidentally messed up. I meant to go over the Devastate 8. That was actually before the second team, my bad. The Devastate 8 HSW, since I accidentally skipped it. It is a lap time just above the NTMT for a lap time, so like second worst one for a lap time, I believe. And then it's 3rd place, I believe, for top speed, so it's kind of not one of the greater ones to use in a sense. But apparently I ended up skipping that one, so my bad. Not that bad. It kind of came out later on, so I didn't think it would be like ahead of like the other 2 that were at launch of the game. It actually came out for the Trip Feed before Chrono Prize DLC, for the small Trip Feed before that update, I believe. But, yeah. So I already spoke with DNTMT. I think I only have the newest one to cover, actually, versus cars now. Yes, indeed, and that's the Vapid F&J Mark V. So yeah, this one is actually number 1 lap time and top speed, I believe, when it came out. And still is, obviously, since it came out in the latest update back in December 2025. But yes. So back in December 2025, it came out with the Vapid F&J Mark V. So yeah, literally when the Safehouse and Hills DLC launched, came out with the Vapid F&J Mark V, at least for Plus, I believe it came out at launch. I think it came out with like the holiday times, like Festive Surprise. I think for all players that came out in Festive Surprise 2025 or whatever though. So like maybe like a couple weeks after like the launch of the DLC for all players and not just for the people who paid like $8 up the ass with the Plus subscription, basically. But yeah, so all the vehicles are usable in HSW Town Trials, by the way, as well. Besides for, again, the Weaponized Ignis, I think that's one exception. That one cannot be used in a time trial specifically, but it can be used for races, like I suggested earlier. But yeah, of the ones, I think of the ones, I believe the, like, Hakachao Drag HSW is the best one to use for time trials, I believe. If you had to pick just one of those to use as the best option, I believe it's the HSW Hakachao Drag for the best one to use for the time trials, basically. And then the last 2 were the new ones for the current DLC, of course. Being the Vapid F&J Mark V, as well as the Astral, of course. My phone was taking a while to load for some reason. What the hell? Well, my stream still seems to be going though. Okay, so good. Good. So yeah, 2 more dealerships to go. There's luxury autos and Simeons, Simeons, and I can go over the other stuff already given. And where it kind of gets into some of the final stretches, basically. There's Kevin. I mean, I might have kind of said Kevin by accident. There is the Karen Everon RS from previous Money Runs DLC, and then looks like the Costa Walton over 535 stock. It's actually a pretty good SUV, I believe, for non-HSW in particular, I believe, for the Everon RS. This one for off-road, I think, is not too great, though. I think that one's more of a personal preference customization vehicle right there, I believe, though. Alright, I'm kind of on the spreadsheet from the, like, iWagon from earlier, and yeah, the Everon RS is pretty good. It's SG. It's actually S tier good. But unless it's on discount, I won't go over performance numbers, which I don't assume it's on a discount. There is actually, ironically, never on discount, but it's not this particular one. Ironically. And yeah, I don't think that's even that revolutionary for off-road. I don't even think the original, like, 110 035 was. And the stock one came out later, I think, even, and isn't even not good either, of course. So if you only care for racing, it's not a very good off-road one there, but yeah. Everon RS could actually be pretty good for non-HSW. Especially on the platforms without HSW as the main, of course. Alright, but this dealership apparently for Simeons, which will contain the last 5 vaulted vehicles. All vehicles here are apparently vaulted. Is it the classic Tornado Rot Rod, Gossieski, Rapid Blade, we need Dynasty as well as the Stafford. First one was Bikers DLC, so I'm pretty sure it's on exclusive. The Esky, I think, was kind of stunts or something, so on exclusive. The only one that's actually not on exclusive here, I think, is the Blade, which came out in I'm Not a Hipster DLC back in 2014, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this one's as old as 2014, so it's actually in single player, like the other modes of the game as well, so you can test out the customization, performance, all that stuff before you buy it for the online. But yeah, Dynasty and then the Stafford. This one is spring 2018, and I think this one is like summer 2018 or something, I believe, for the Stafford. Also, Stafford is actually a career progression reward if you're on newer platforms as well, as I'll go over. In particular, so it's actually not technically vaulted on newer platforms, but on older platforms it actually definitely for sure is. And yeah, freebies are actually from older GTA games, kind of at least. Kind of at least. Yeah, while the Tornado Rat Rod is the original GTA 9, the Tornado itself is kind of the older for the Universe GTA vehicle, so it is kind of retro nostalgic. Interesting that's here now since it more so hit. Interesting that's here now more so since it does fit the Halloween theme better, but whatever though, whatever though. But yeah, yes though. Tornado Rat Rod actually has the most appearances of any of the vehicles for the vault list for this particular week. It's 16 appearances actually in the last like 3+ years. So it's the most common of the 7 vaulted vehicles for dealership appearances. Whereas the Esky is actually the rarest of the 7 this time around at 10 appearances for dealership appearances in the last like 3+ years. Yeah, the Blade previously appears in GTA San Andreas basically as like a lowrider kind of vehicle. So it's a cool vehicle in that game. Especially. But that one appears for the 14th time, actually. So one of the most common ones. so yes, one of the most common ones for dealership appearances the whole event week. And then both the Dynasty and the Stafford appear a dozen times now this event at the 12th appearance for the dealerships that they've appeared in the last like 3+ years, basically. And also, Inna Stafford also appeared in GTA San Andreas in the past as like an exports and imports vehicle, so it is a pretty cool retro nostalgic one. And like I said, I know that one's for sure on like the career progression as well for the after hours section. So I'll go over that. Businesses, after hours. So if you manage to do the whole entire tier 4, you can actually get the ENS Stafford for free, but only on the newer platforms that have the career progression feature. Same platforms that have the HSW access only. So as long as they're on newer platforms, it is an option to get it for free. However, especially the 25 celebrity appearances, I feel just isn't really that easy to get. So it always can be good to get on the Vault vehicle like list like when it appears on like dealerships anyways, even if you are on a newer platform. Because it's quite a bit of stuff to do, honestly, for Tier 4 for this one, especially the 25 celebrity appearances. It's probably the most like RNG thing in the whole game. For the nightclubs, at least in particular. Or one of the most RNG things, anyways, at least. Oh, and also for classes of the vehicles. I didn't mention the classes. I think this one's in Sports Classics, like a lot of the other Tornadoes, if not like all the other Tornadoes. I think it's Sports Classics, Which also reminds me, I actually can muscle car wheelie despite being a sports classics. I think it has like a special flat that lets it muscle car wheelie despite being a sports classics. Motorcycles, obviously for that one. This one's muscle car. This one's actually another sports classics over here for the Dynasty, and then I'm pretty sure it's sedan over here for the Stafford. I think of all 5 of these, I think the one that has the best possibilities for performance would be the Esky for the motorcycles class. But even then, it's probably not that good compared to other motorcycles in the game. All the other ones, I'm pretty sure, are bad performance. That's why they're still vaulted, despite there only being like 60 or so vaulted vehicles left at this point. Apparently. By the way, all FIB files are also paying 2 times, even if it's not priority, so even the ones they can do multiple times a week are actually on 2 times, which is nice. Given they only take like 20-30 minutes to complete a FIB file like, at all, 2 times on those is pretty good. You can get like 300k like every like half hour basically, which is pretty good, pretty good. I do think it's a pretty nice thing to take advantage of. I do, yes, I think it's pretty nice, for sure. Yeah, I was right, it is like 1.1, 1.2 million, because that's 2 times and the 4 times, actually, for 8 times, effectively. So you get the 2 times that all these other ones are on for the 2 times general for the priority files. Or no, not priority files, but the FIB files are 2 times. You get that 2 times, for that being like 300k. And then the 300k gets to be 4 times as well for the 1.2 million on the fine art file, which is very good. But again, you can but again, you can only do like 1 time for the event since it's priority file. You can only do it like 1 time the whole week though. But you can always do the 300k ones for the 2 times for the whole entire event though. So you'd probably want to run like Project Breakaway, and whatever one of these 2 is your favorite of the 2. Like, whatever one's not your worst one there, I suppose, for these 2. If you're trying to grind them ideally. Since you cannot do fine art back to back with Project Breakaway, as it is priority, and you can only do 1 time a week. Yeah, huge stuff going on actually for the priority files for sure. Or FIP files as a whole, even as a whole even. Also, that Burgundy Rockstar Varsity crew neck for Discord rewards is available until July 1st. So it's actually the last day to get it. Or like last event to get it, but I think that was available. I think, yes, that was available last week too, I believe. Just saying though. Just saying though. Not gonna go over Fine Art Collector again. Yes, I'm not going to go over to Fine Art Collector again, like I said earlier in the stream, since GTA 6 VFA is fucking code in a fucking box after all, Wiki Challenge is actually tied to the files, by the way. And you have to complete 3 of those, so you can do a priority file, plus you would have to do like 2 other ones for like 300-ish K. But again, they only take like a half hour I would say at most, if you're grinding with like the Mark II oppressor, of course, aka like the speedrun vehicle. As much as people call it the oppressor Mark II, it is still a very good speedrunning vehicle, so obviously that's a very good vehicle to use if you're trying to do these in like half an hour. Alright, and then the full gun jobs, the 4 out of 5 there that I have, or technically all 5 of them if you want to consider that. Yeah. Full gun jobs are apparently 2 times money RP. I think they pay like 100k if I recall right, actually, on like a 2 times event, which is pretty good. I think they pay like 50k or so normally, and then they're like 100k actually for 2 times. However, though, I think you only get to do like 1 per like hour, some insane cooldown like that actually, so... Yeah, they can be kind of nice for some quick, nice free mode money making, but you can also only do, I believe, like 1 per hour, which is kind of a long cooldown to have, unfortunately, so not the greatest. Also, if you don't like the mission you get, you can always re-roll the mission if you get like one you don't like crop dusting is one people don't like a lot about, for sure. Being like the slow crop duster, of course. So you can re-lobby missions, I believe. Like, you can re-lobby, get a different mission, but yeah, once you complete 1 single mission, you have an hour cooldown, basically. And special vehicle races are also 2 times money RP, which there's Renner 2000, Rocket Voltic, the Blazer Aqua, where, yeah, the Blazer Aqua, the Rocket Voltic, Renner 2000, for the original special vehicle ones, and I think there was 3 other ones kind of added later on for special vehicle ones. I don't know if those are in the game right now, but just in case they are, there's the Deluxo, Stromberg, and Thruster, I believe, for like the Doomsday Heist special vehicle ones, if those are available. I think for the longest time it's only really been like the older special vehicle races they've put back in the game for the longest time, so... Yeah, I want to say Deluxo, Stromberg, Thruster might not be in the game right now, but I could be wrong though. Also, I don't really do combat series gameplay on my streams for basic combat series. I only do like mission stuff basically for combat or survival. Yeah, I only do survival or mission career content since those are soloable options. But yeah, there's these different maps. I don't know which one's like new. I don't know if it says on the newswire. Oh yeah, again, there's not even a newswire actually, so it might not really say which one's new this time, if there is a new one even. Maybe there's not for some reason, I'm not really sure about that though. Yeah, I don't really go over details on GTA series videos either, so I wouldn't know if there's a new map, like, for the first time ever, that, like, appeared for the first time ever on those or not. They could all be repeat maps for all I know, but I don't play the combat series. Like, I don't play all the maps for the combat series. I don't know, unfortunately, no. Alright, so I think I'm going to head over to the salvage yard next. I think I've went over a lot of stuff for money stuff at this point. If not, like, all of it, basically. So over to the salvage yard for the weekly rotation stuff this time around. It's done this time around. Money trees, counter cash, whatever. Alright, so here it is apparently the Vapid Click, Federal, Coquit, Blackfin. As well as the Limpidati Tygon, whatever. So Vapid Click of Arena War DLC was like Fast Surprise 2018 DLC, like free vehicle or whatever. Got some personalized text message I don't overly 100% care about looking at right now, but I'll get to like some family text, of course. Not like urgent or anything per se, but yeah. So yeah, Vapid Click Arena War DLC vehicles like the free vehicle Fest Surprise 2018. I'm 100% as well. But yeah, muscle car, still low. It's a standard range vehicle, as I like to call it. For the Gangbanger robbery is the robbery it appears in, by the way. Max sell value $262,000 and salvage value $9,600. Yes, salvage value $9,600. And then Invetero, Coquet, Blackfin. Coquet is kind of a vehicle from like HD Universe, but not the Blackfin in particular. Like, yeah, 5 is HD Universe, but I mean like older HD Universe, like GT4 episodes, Silver City, I mean, you know what I mean. So the Coquet Blackfin is online? No. I mean, Coquet Blackfin is actually single player and online, I mean. But it's not in GT4 episodes overseas, it's actually just 5 and online. 5 and online. But yeah, it has a max sale value for $131,000. Oh, or wait, hold on. But yeah, this one's actually muscle car, by the way. Muscle car, by the way, just like the Click. And this one's the mid-range vehicle, basically. That's how I like to call it. And this one's actually for the podium robbery, the Casino 1K, of course. It has max sell value for $1,000 and salvage value turns $64,800. KK. And finally, the Valley Tygon, I believe it was released during the Los Santos Summer Special DLC, Summer 2020. By the way, for DLC, this one is Ill-Gotten Games Update Part 1, I think. or 2, if not, basically. We only have Daddy tag on whatever. Supercar, the Los Dos Santos Summer Special DLC. It's part of McTony robbery, the one that's at Bumfuck Pluto Bay, basically. By the way, yeah, you have to do the screen one for that one. But at least it's a quick vehicle, given all the distance you have to go for that one, basically. It was basically most likely in a city location, of course, for the salvage yard. But yeah, it has a max sell value for $95,000, and then, but yeah, the top range vehicle here, yeah, has a max sell value of $395,000, well, salvage value too, as well as, I mean, yes, a salvage value of $316,000 exactly. Cool. Alright, so I'm basically on discounts, or like, and basically, I think they just have time trial, and I think that will basically do at the minimum, basically. And that excludes gunman on discounts, which I already covered. Obviously. So I went over the vehicle kind of discount to Brigade 6x6 since that appeared on the main menu. I don't think that Garmin Factory one appeared yet, though it was kind of apparent that was probably going to be on sale, obviously, since obviously with the FB, like, party foul stuff, or FIB foul 2 times, and then party foul like 4 times on top of that, general like 2 times for the FIB files. God, it's such a mouthful to mention that every single time. If it's an off, whatever the price is for it. Again, I already own the Garment Factory, so I cannot see what the price is, but it's 40% off, whatever the basic price is 40% off, whatever it is, so... You definitely should buy this if you have the money for it this week, so you can basically make the money back with the 4 times and the 2 times fine art. It only takes like probably a half hour, again, assuming you have like a Mark II oppressor and you don't have the vehicle for some... And I mean, you don't have the business for some reason, you have to like, buy it for some reason. Then yeah, obviously it's a good week to buy it then for that reason. I mean, even if you don't have like the Mark II oppressor and it does take longer than like a half hour somehow or something, like... You'll easily make your money back on this business alone this one particular week, easily, if you just do that one thing. Or even if you do like the couple for the weekly challenge, for sure, by that point you definitely would. I would definitely for sure say. So if you don't have one this week, definitely buy one this week, I would say for sure. And like, it doesn't take that many to get your money back, especially on 40% off, even like if you have to do it like subsequent times, basically. When there's not like the 4 times / 2 times or any times, that's where it's just a basic weekly party foul that just changes each week. Because every single event week does actually have a party foul for those that don't know. Even if it's not stated on the newswire. Alright, so aside for 140% vehicle that I went over earlier, other vehicle discounts for the event will be on 30% off, basically. Doesn't look like any are on the Arena War website. One is actually on Benny's, it looks like. Actually, it does look like. Alright, it looks like just a Spectre. Apparently. From the import and export DLC. It doesn't say update names, I'm pretty sure it's import export that released this one. So yeah, the stock version of the Spectre will be a 30% off discount for this event. Apparently. But yeah, the Benny's version is not on sale, by the way. You'll have to spend the full price on the upgrade to the Spectre Custom if you want that for some reason. Which obviously you probably should do that, so you have like a lot more customization that you can do. Benny's is amazing for customization for sure, so you'll definitely have a very amazing one for the customization. Performance, on the other hand, is what I'll go over right now, though, of course. So 199,000, 492,300, like around $150,000 savings, like 179, like 700 actually. In particular, something I believe. It is actually an F-tier sports car according to probably 132's vehicle spreadsheet, which gives it a 56th place for lap time. Just barely above average for the class, actually, technically speaking, as well as 50th place for top speed. And literally, if you take it to Spectre Custom, literally, if you take it to Spectre Custom, it actually doesn't get that much better, apparently. Goes from 56th to 55th place for a lap time, so plus -1, basically, to get closer to, like, better placements, of course, in a small smidge. And the 50th place to 49th place for top speed. So yeah, you only get like one better placement for lifetime top speed when you do the custom version, apparently, as well. So at least for this vehicle, for the most part, you're only getting the customization for the custom example here, and not really that much better for the performance. Only one placement better on lifetime top speed is not really ideal. I didn't get out entirely. Whatever. I can at least confidently say the Spectre Custom is amazing customization being Benny's, however, though. So that's really the one good reason to get that. I don't think there's anything for read this honestly. Might be quite a few, or several or so on a legendary, it looks like here, like there kind of usually is. So none were popular, so you won't get some of the best vehicles according to Rockstar here. Or like the ones that most people get or whatever. There is, however, Venus, Euros, X32, from Bondar Bounty's DLC. This is also HSW on newer platforms. Actually, it was on that list of 29 vehicles earlier as well. So 1,499,000, 1,049,300 is effectively like around like $450,000 savings, $450,700 or so, to be exact. Doesn't seem to get a lock-on chamber, so this one does not have a lock-on chamber. This was also the update like right before like they started putting lock-on chambers on like all the new vehicles, I believe, as well. At least for non-aircraft ones, at least. Yeah, this one's actually a coupe, I'm pretty sure, on the Expert 2. Yes, it is. So the base model of it that's actually on discount without the HSW is apparently a C-tier coupe, being 8th place and 16th place for laptop top speed. So it's actually below average for the class for top speed for the non-HSW. But even a non-HSW one's kind of pretty fine for a lap time at least. The 8th would even go to like 6th place if you don't have HSW for like being on like an older platform or something. And then if you do take it HSW, it actually does have the #1 lap time, but does get #2 top speed behind this and XS for top speed, it looks like, for HSW version, of course. Of course. So you're pretty much in top 3 for both placements for the HSW version, as you would probably expect. And Compass is a pretty niche class, only has like 20-ish vehicles in the game. So, yeah, there's not that much competition for it per se, for that reason, but for that reason. And if I said compacts for some reason, I didn't mean to say Pazer again, obviously, like I did before. Alright, contract DLC up next year to PFIS or Comet S2 Cabrio going from $1,797,000 to $1,207,900. Unlike the regular Comet S2, I don't believe this has a trade price at all. I don't think it does. The other one has a trade price, obviously being a tuner vehicle. This one's not tuner at all, apparently. So this one I believe does not get a trade price for that reason. But yeah, 500, like 40-ish thousand, like 39,100 or something off of this vehicle. Looks like for the 30% off. It does have a lock-on chamber available if you take it over to the agency and put on a lock-on chamber. Or you can also put it in like the Vinewood Club garage, like the Plus exclusive property for $8 up gas, basically for like a month. Or mansions, you can do it at as well. But the later two options do require the Plus subscription, including the mansion seating to the lock-on chamber portion though. So the only free option for the lock-on chamber is in fact the agency. Yeah, just see this thing. I'll get to that though, obviously. So apparently the Comet S2 Cabrio is an F-tier sports car, by the way, with like 63rd place for lap time, as well as 16th place actually for top speed. So I think it actually would be 10th place without HSW to account, since there is 6 HSW sports cars, which are all for sure, I would say, better on the top speed 100%, since HSW's like main gimmick is the insane top speeds. So yeah, if you're doing like a like HSW race even on curb platforms, you could have a top 10 top speed right here actually still. So it can be kind of worth it actually. It can actually be kind of worth it though if you care enough about the vehicle, I suppose. After that, for Diamond Casino Resorts, we got Cesar Russo. Looks like up next for Supercar this time. 100% no for a fact, Supercar. So this one goes from $1,925,000 to $1,307,500. This was what Diamond Casino Resort, which I don't think was updated no much for trade prices, I believe. So I don't think this has a trade price. I'm thinking like 570 to 580-ish or so, 1,000-ish. I don't know exactly how much. I don't want to spend too much more time on that, but yeah. Like the previous one, it does have the access to the lock-on jammer, apparently. I mentioned the details about the lock-on jammer earlier, though, of course, though. But apparently this Roos is an E-tier supercar, being a 35th place lap time, as well as 35th place top speed. Interestingly, it actually is the same placements for both lap time top speed. And there's 68 supercars, which actually means it's below average for both metrics. And since there's since there's only 5 HSWs, I think it gets like 30th place at best, which is not really ideal. This one's more about the customization versus preference than anything else. I would say Cereus was not really a good supercar to buy, unfortunately, though. If you're just looking purely at the performance aspects of the game. After that, for After Hours DLC is just a Dinka Jester Classic. $790,000 to $553,000. I don't believe this vehicle has a trade price, especially since I think it was in the like data miners or something like found the vehicle and like the update prior to After Hours, like Certain Sanders Super Auto. So it was actually meant for that update, but it got pushed back to After Hours. I think the model at the time was like buggy and stuff. So yeah, I don't think it has the trade price for that reason. We have $790,000, $3,000, 237,000. It definitely does look good for the savings there. Now this is what the Jester and Sanders is actually based on. Like I said earlier when talking about the Jester, the Alice Carmi, which is the newer, like more modern Jester for 5, and of course as well. But it's actually the same one that the San Andreas one is based on, which is pretty tight, pretty tight. And this one is in the sports class, I'm pretty sure. One of those of classic in the name that's actually in the sports class. I think the community was pushing back on them putting in the sports class because I think, again, since it was kind of meant for the update before, I think they listened to community outcry and it was actually put in sports class instead. For that reason, where it actually performs worse, but it probably makes more sense for the vehicle at the end of the day. Hence why I believe there was the outcry for the vehicle like that. So this one definitely does not perform good for that reason. Yes, it's about as I tier for the sports class apparently, and it gets like 80th place for lap time. And as well as 61st place for top speed. So it's actually not that good like at all. It's almost below average actually for both metrics. Without HSW actually might be just barely like above average for the class for top speed, but yeah, its placements are pretty bad for both lap time and top speed regardless though. So you only want this vehicle for like, customization for preference reasons, and like old school vehicle from the San Andreas, so it's of course pretty cool, pretty cool. And by the way, fun fact, if you turn it to a drift vehicle, it actually goes back to the old classing of sports classics. If you say put it to a drift vehicle. Kind of an oversight, but yes, taken to a drift vehicle, you can actually see what's meant for sports classics back in the day as well. as well. And then Rapid Flash GT, 30% off. 1,605,000, 1,172,500. 500, 2,500 or something. 500,000, like 2,500 or whatever. I don't know if I'm saying it right even, but like I don't want to spend too much time on pricing there. We had a spring 2018 DLC, the one without long DLC named SA Super Sports Series, whatever. That DLC wasn't really known for trade prices, I'm pretty sure, so it doesn't actually have a trade price 100% on this vehicle here for Flash GT. And yes, one of those rally style sport cars, so it doesn't really perform good. Once again, I believe like the Jester Classic, unfortunately, but yeah. Yes. This F-tier sports car with 57th place for lap time and 87th place for top speed. So yeah, top speed is an absolute top speed's an absolute joke for a vehicle. I think it's technically actually above average for the class for lap time, but it's still in the 50s. It's still garbage. So you want this vehicle for customization for preference reasons. And it's a rally style sport car, so I think it has better off-road traction loss than the average sports cars, so that could be a little interesting. Could make it interesting for an off-road sport class race. Like on an off-road track, of course, because of course. So that was it for the website for Electric Motorsport actually already. Again, there is Duplicate 676 sale, but again, it's not that good to get it on sale price anyways. Again, like I said, you can actually get it for free, and that's if you do those, like, first dose missions. Oh, and I said it was like 500k, it's actually like 750k, it's probably more like the 500k or something on the discount though. 40 to 40%, like 300, 500k or something like I was kind of saying earlier, I think though. But it gets a complimentary Manchester Scout C, which is a pretty good motorcycle as well. It's not a raceable motorcycle, unfortunately. I believe it's not raceable, unfortunately. But in free mode, it's a very good motorcycle for sure, though. For sure, though. And yeah, I think it has weapons too, like the EMP mines, like the mine types. Kinetic EMP, like spikes, silic mines. I don't think you have regular mines as an option on that. Unfortunately, just arena mines. I think it'd be better. So yes, it is technically weaponized, even if it's just like some mines that don't really do that much damage anyways for the arena mine types. That aren't even the basic explosive mines. And also for service class, there's no letter tier apparently, but yeah. It is 6th place as well as, again 6th place actually, allowed to be on top speed actually. Out of 14 service vehicles in the game. Just barely above average for the class. That's probably it on the website. I think it's probably just not one vehicle, unfortunately no. Which again, you can just get for free every missions anyways, so you don't really even want to buy on the website anyways. Yeah, it's not discount, I think it's just glitched up from like Fest Price 2018 and a discount couldn't claim it back then. Since I own the vehicle. Oh yeah, Turtle Mill I think is free right now because of the one of the tiers. It's the patron tier or the like elitist tier, like whatever one of the two I actually own. Or actually I did a heist technically, I think with the casino heist being with like some random person's heist. Albeit it was at the end of the event, but I think it would count since the duration for that's like a long time. So I assume it counted. Unless you have to host the heist, not join somebody else's, but yeah. I don't think they said that though. So that's a recent free vehicle actually with the turtle mill. We spoke about it like last week, I think. Oh right, the dump section on discount. Forgot about that. We have Buzzer Tax Shopper. Buzzer. Yes, though, Buzzer Tax Shopper. Like the Insurgent Pickup was one from my first price 118 every vehicle, but I had the vehicle before, so I can claim the discounts. That's why it shows that way. But it's not on discount for sure. We have 30% off the thumb being $1 million, naturally 700,000, 30% off. But yes, Pegasus vehicle, you can, there's no storage limit on Pegasus vehicles. You can buy up as many as you want as long as you have the money for them, and you'll be able to have all of them at like one time for like the phone, basically. When you call Pegasus on like a Well, basically. So if you have the money for it, you might as well get it, especially on a discount. Okay, if it's not service, what class is it? Might be industrial class? Maybe. Thinking so. Alright, yeah, dump is industrial, yeah. It's not a raceable class, though industrial is some better tier, but yeah. It's 9th place for lap time and top speed of the 12 industrial vehicles in the game. Yeah, the vehicle is literally just a mean vehicle for the most part. It's not really a serious vehicle. But again, if you want it, you might as well buy it. There's no storage on Pegasus vehicles, like I said. You can get all of them at one time. It's not like an actual garage where you have like 10 vehicles or something. Based on the amount of slots in a garage. And again, did outright just go over still. I don't think there's any boat discounts this time, so it looks like just Southern will be left at this point. It's not just gonna cycle discount and Cedar either. So yeah, it looks like just Southern. I think it's the only 3 discounts left. Yeah, looks like. One of them is actually still popular as well, interestingly. And that is the remix for No Lasso, so Santos Tuners DLC or Sports Tuner. Now, fun fact about this vehicle, it's actually a free vehicle. I believe when it first came out with the initial launch of the Tuners DLC, since it was actually a prize art vehicle, I believe it was in the first week, which I wonder if that explains what's in the popular list, because it seems a little weird to me if it doesn't be popular unless there's like some huge reason like the truck community or something was like so popular or something. I'm not really sure why. If it's not the fact that it was like the first prize art in the game or something. With the launch of the Tuners DLC. But on the trade price, it's $1,027,500. That's $719,250. 308,250. I think it looks like. Looks like. To me, for sure. But yes. It's a drifting vehicle, like Chop Shop DLC or something like that. It's like a drifting vehicle because the drifting wasn't being until Chop Shop. I think it was also one that launched. I think so I say Chop Shop DLC, or once it came out maybe a little bit later after that or something like that. Since like each update after Chop Shop has had new drifting vehicles. And exclusively it's available with your tuning apparently as well, and then Missile Lock-On Jammer. It's also available for the vehicle in the same kind of way as I mentioned previously. So yes, so I said this vehicle does have a trade price. It's tied to rank 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 45, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. One of those 15 ranks has the trade price for this. One of those 15 Alice Cartney ranks For the actual car means it's the rank system, of course. One of those has the trade price. 80, 85, I think, are reserved for the two that came out with Chrono Prizes DLC, and I think other tuner vehicles don't have a trade price. I'm pretty sure after Chrono Prize DLC, basically, it was basically for like stuff like the LSC and Jester wide body or like just RR, whatever. Like the newer just RR doesn't have like the trade price one that's like the wide body one, for example. I think they kind of just did away with that for some reason. Which, let's be real, it's because of greed or something. Yeah, going up a GTA 6 PIVI, of course. Code in a box bullshit, $80 for the standard edition. When they very well could charge that, you know, would have sold on hotcakes regardless. But yeah, CS7. Okay, fucking. So this one's a sports car like most of the tuners in the game. Basically. And yeah, it's not gonna be good performance, like I said, because it was literally the first prize art in the game, and they don't, especially when a new DLC drops, they're not gonna put a new vehicle as prize art unless it's like complete ass. But yeah, CCS. So apparently the Remus is an I-tier sports car. Apparently though. Which gives it the same 9th place for lap time as well as the 89th place for top speed. So it has no good performance at all for general sports class. To be fair, I don't think really any of those sport tuners have that, since they're more meant for the tuner subclass rather than the main sports class. But again, it was the first prize art vehicle to launch the DLC of Tuners DLC, which just shows it's not good. It's considered the first prize art vehicle of the whole game, and it was a new vehicle from that set of the two. So it doesn't even really do the like tuners content well either, especially the Street Pursuit races. It's not actually a good sports tuner for Street Pursuit racing even. The one real place you could use it for is robbery contracts. That's not drift tuning, basically. I would say this vehicle is really for drift tuning more than anything really. And that wasn't even available when it first came out. It was available in like 2023 basically at that point. The Remus, I would say just stick to it for drift tuning, pretty much as a custom drifting vehicle with anything. It's kind of mediocre as a general sport car or even for tuner racing. And robbery contracts, since you can just use the just RR as rear movers on it. As a customization option at least, which is pretty much the number one top speed you can use for the robbery contracts if you need it. So it is a popular vehicle though. It's nice to see a popular vehicle on a discount, I suppose though. Even if it's not necessarily that great. Alright, that's just the Remus again. I almost said this is going to be something else, but it's not. Alright, the Class A Hot Ring Saber looks to be next tier for a discount. I don't know if it had a trade price at launch, but I think it eventually got a trade price if I recall right. It could be wrong though. It could be wrong though. But if it didn't launch with a trade price, it eventually did get a trade price. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's another sports car like the Remus, basically. And this one's actually a tier worse than the Remus being a J tier. From classified as J tier. So it's 88th place apparently for lap time, and it's 39th place for top speed. It's very much below average for the gold class for a lap time, but its top speed is technically above average for the gold class, which is kind of ironic because it's actually like, I think the worst one for top speed for actual hot ring races. I think the other ones actually have better top speed for hot ring races, especially the hot ring Everon. Everon is the best one for hot ring races for top speed, which also that race type is actually a better one for top speed, interesting ironically compared to most race types in the game. But yeah, may not be that great performance, of course, but it is obviously meant for the hot ring races more than anything, so you can obviously use it as like one of 3 eligible vehicles on hot ring races, basically. It was the first of the breeds, just kind of dated. But yeah, given like the Rockstar created ones, like the player created ones know what they're like doing, top speed will be technically better anyways. Then like the 110 would be pretty fine, pretty much. I would say. I would say. But it's obviously pretty much for the hot ring races rather than actually being a good sports car in a general sense, so. Yeah, I think there's just one last vehicle discount. I think it's just actually in the luxury section, like the iWagon was, if I remember right, basically. It's basically. And yes, that's right, I saw that earlier because of the iWagon being the prize article, yeah. They're securing Everon for the Thompson Heist DLC. So it isn't that. So yeah, since it isn't that update, it might actually be a getaway vehicle you can use for the Thompson Heist. But you might be able to use it as a getaway vehicle for the Thompson Heist. So if you can use a getaway vehicle there, that's how you get the trade prices. You have to select it as a getaway vehicle for a Thompson Heist. But you have to host that heist as well. You can't just do it when you join somebody else's heist. It has to be your own heist as host to get the trade prize for the Everon. Assuming you have the vehicle selected, of course. Alright, so this one is no lock-on jammer. This one's off-road, I believe, technically. Off-road, technically, I believe. Yeah, the original Everon, yeah, is off-road 100%. Yes, it is. It's an F tier, apparently they're going to run for 152's vehicle spreadsheet, racing YouTuber GT Online. Where's 22nd place for the lap time? Where yes, it is 22nd place on time as well as 14th place top speed. It's only 2 HSWs, only gets like 12 at best for like top speed. It'd be 20th place and 12 for like top speed without the HSW vehicles for off-road. So it's kind of a couple places without top 10 unfortunately, but like yeah. There is 48 raceable options for off-road class, and there's also like another like 16 that aren't raceable. So I would say it's technically above average for the class for full metrics for sure. Even if it's not the greatest vehicle for off-road. So get if you want it, otherwise wouldn't really bother. It's really more for customization versus preference rather than like a top 10 for performance, like a vehicle you should be using for performance. And that does it for the vehicle discounts. Alright, good, my stream worked after I made my system reconnect to the network, and also, like, I did a network test to kind of change the speeds of my read. Seems to be the thing I have to do sometimes, unfortunately, like, worse internet nowadays, but whatever, though. Whatever, though. So yeah, it's only like a 2-hour stream or something, I think, which isn't too bad. It's not Rockstar Newswire, so I wanted to kind of skim through it. And by the way, according to the preview, it looks like there will be a 2-week like event next week. Next week it does look like just a 2-week event. But even before that, I'll like Red Dead stream. I might try to get out on like Friday or something, maybe. Maybe. Sheesh. Oh, and actually, if it's a 2-week event, I think it's actually the last event until the DLC drops, actually, as well, by the way, actually. So I think it will be the last event, actually, until the new DLC drops, actually, for the Court Center Heist. Sounds like going to the press previews that Rockstar gave to, like, the press people or whatever. Like, GT series videos, like, the YouTuber people, whatever. Yeah. According to that, it sounds like there's a 2-week event, which sounds like also the last event until Court Center Heist DLC releases. Yeah. 3-minute 46-second power time turns out. The kind of instant acceleration system has an electric build. This could definitely pull it off pretty well. Especially since electric and HSW has kind of a decent top speed for electric. It's well even. It's well even.